Novatian wrote the treatise on the Trinity. Ante-Nicene Fathers, Volume 5. Page 643. He is begotten, whether as being the Word, whether as being the power, or as being the wisdom, or as being the light, or as being the Son. Page 624. Therefore God proceeded from God, in that the Word which proceeded is God, who proceeded forth from God. Page 636. For who does not acknowledge that the person of the Son is second after the Father? When he reads that it was said by the Father, conveniently of the Son, let us make man in our image and our likeness. Page 627. He shows that in the beginning the Word was, and that this Word was with the Father. And besides that, the Word was God. John 1:1. Page 625. Christ is greater than the Paraclete, because the Paraclete would not receive from Christ unless he were less than Christ. Why is it that Trinitarians do not talk about Novatian? Novatian was one of the Ante-Nicene Fathers who actually wrote on the Trinity. And he wrote the treatise of the Trinity. So why is it that Trinitarians today, modern Trinitarians, why don't they talk about Novatian? But there are several reasons why. You saw the quotes from Novatian, and there is problems with these quotes. Let's analyze them. The connection with Philo of Alexandria is clearly seen in the very first quotation, that he is begotten, whether as being the Word, whether as being the power. Philo taught that God and he had two powers, supreme and primary powers. So every one of the Ante-Nicene Fathers, especially the Apostolic Fathers, they all use that teaching of the power of God. And also it's called the wisdom of God, and the light, and then the Son. So this is how we connect with Philo. Novatian, even though he wrote late, right before the Council of Nicaea, he was already teaching on the Trinity and writing about the Trinity. And then it says also that God proceeded from God, in that the Word which proceeded is God, who proceeded forth from God. Again, another connection, Novatian with Philo of Alexandria. It was Philo who wrote that God came from God and light from light. This saying was also placed in the Nicene Creed. But here you have Novatian saying the same thing. So here the connection is very clear, very powerful. We must understand that the Apostolic and Ante-Nicene Fathers were not teaching something new. They were teaching from Philo. They just changed the words a little bit here and there. Again, it says, surely God proceeding from God, causing a person second to the Father as being the Son, but that taking from the Father the characteristic that he is one God. Isn't that powerful? For who does not acknowledge that the person of the Son is second after the Father, when he reads that it was said by the Father, conveniently, of the Son, let us make man in our image after our likeness? That's Genesis 1:26. And Novatian was saying that in Genesis 1:26, God was speaking to his Son. Wow, there's no way to prove that, because Genesis chapter 2 does not show a father and son. It shows God creating Adam and Eve. This is powerful. And then we have where he says, he shows that in the beginning the Word was, and that this Word was with the Father, and besides that the Word was God. He's citing John 1:1, just like all Trinitarians do today, and also the way Philo was teaching the Logos, that the Logos was God, a second God. This is where they got it from. This is powerful stuff. And then we have, he himself was before the foundation of the world, And then it gets into something very interesting. It says, Christ is greater than the Paraclete, because the Paraclete would not receive from Christ unless he was less than Christ. Novatian, like Tertullian taught that the Son was less than the Father. Or here Novatian is teaching that the Holy Spirit is less than the Son. Now, of course, this contradicts the modern Trinitarian doctrine, where it says that all three are co-equal and co-eternal. That is why they don't want to talk about Novatian, because his link with the Philo is very clear, and his teaching of subordination is very clear. So the Trinity that's being taught today is not even coming from completely from the Ante-Nicene Fathers. Somebody in the 5th century decided to change it and make it what it is today. And we call that a forgery, because it's called the Athanasian Creed, and it was not written by Athanasius.